Leonard Mambo Mbotela's life, though widely celebrated, was not without moments of controversy and tension that tested both his professionalism and his resilience. One of the most defining and dramatic episodes came during the failed 1982 coup attempt in Kenya. On the morning of August 1, rebel soldiers stormed his home, abducted him at gunpoint, and forced him to go on air to announce that President Daniel Arap Moi's government had been overthrown. Hours later, after loyalist forces regained control, Mbotela was again compelled, this time by government forces, to broadcast that the coup had failed. Despite clearly acting under duress, he became the only civilian subjected to a military trial following the incident. He was ultimately acquitted, but the ordeal left a permanent mark on his legacy. Beyond that harrowing moment, Mbotela also faced criticism during his long career as a football commentator. Known for his passionate narration, some fans, particularly supporters of Gor Mahia, accused him of showing favoritism toward AFC Leopards, his perceived preferred team. They claimed he occasionally downplayed moments when Leopards underperformed. While these accusations never escalated into formal disputes, they remained a recurring talking point among football enthusiasts. Another lingering controversy surrounded what became known as the same old suit incident. Rumors circulated that his departure from the presidential press unit in the early 1990s was triggered by a live comment in which he allegedly described President Moi's outfit as suti ile ile ya kawaida, the same old suit. Mbotela consistently dismissed this story as unfounded gossip, maintaining that he continued to serve in the unit until 1996. He also operated within a highly controlled state media environment, having spent much of his career at the Voice of Kenya, now KBC. In later reflections, Mbotela openly acknowledged that journalists of his era worked under strict government oversight, with news often vetted by State House operatives. This reality led to criticism from some quarters that he was part of a system that limited press freedom, though others viewed him as a professional navigating the constraints of his time. Even in death, debate followed him. After he passed away on February 7, 2025 at the age of 84, controversy arose over his burial at Langata Cemetery. Some prominent voices in the media industry argued that a figure of his stature deserved a more distinguished resting place, sparking a national conversation about how Kenya honors its cultural icons. Yet, beyond these moments of contention stood a life of remarkable achievement. Born on May 29, 1940, at Lady Grigg Hospital in Mombasa, Leonard Mambo Mbotela was the firstborn son of James Mbotela, a teacher and musician who later became an education officer, and Aida Mbotela, who worked with the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization. He grew up in Freetown, a historic settlement tied to his family's Malawian roots. His great-grandfather, a member of the Yao clan, had been a freed slave resettled there by the British Navy. As the eldest of 8 siblings, Mbotela grew up in a lively household that shaped his sense of responsibility early on. From a young age, he showed a fascination with broadcasting, often mimicking radio announcers and reading news aloud to his peers. He began his education at Freetown Primary School and later attended Buxton Primary School, before proceeding to Kitui High School, where he completed his secondary education in 1962. Though he never attended university, his passion for journalism drove him to practice relentlessly. In 1967, he further honed his skills with professional training at the BBC in London, an experience that refined his voice and broadened his perspective. Mbotela's career began modestly as a trainee reporter for the Kenya Weekly News and later the East African Standard. However, his defining journey started in 1964 when he joined the Voice of Kenya. What followed was an extraordinary 58-year career, making him Kenya's longest-serving broadcaster. In 1966, he created the iconic program Je Hu Ni Ungwana, a show dedicated to addressing social etiquette and moral conduct. Over the decades, it became more than just a radio program. It evolved into a national moral compass, resonating across generations and remaining on air until his death in 2025. His career also saw him serve in the Presidential Press Unit from 1984 to 1996, where he traveled extensively with President Moy, providing commentary on official engagements. Even after his formal retirement in 1997 as Chief Radio Programs Controller, his voice remained indispensable, and he continued working on contract for another 25 years. Beyond news broadcasting, Mbotela was a legendary football commentator, captivating listeners with vivid, emotional match descriptions that became a staple of Kenyan radio. In his personal life, he was a devoted family man. He met his wife, Alice Mwikali Mbotela, in 1965, and the two married on June 6, 1970, at St. Stephen's Church in Nairobi. Their marriage lasted over 5 decades and was blessed with 3 children, Aida, Jimmy, and George. Despite his public prominence, Mbotela kept his family life largely private, earning respect for maintaining that balance. Financially, his life reflected both legacy and struggle. While he earned recognition and modest income during his early career, famously as little as shillings 500 per episode, his later years were marked by significant medical expenses, including a hospital bill in 2020 that required public assistance. Nevertheless, he demonstrated remarkable foresight and generosity by dedicating 85% of his royalties, estimated at over shillings 30 million annually, to a foundation supporting aspiring journalists. He also authored his autobiography, Je, Huu ni Ungwana, preserving his experiences and insights for future generations. Mbotela spent much of his life in Nairobi Dam Estate, where he lived until his passing. Despite common misconceptions, he had no traditional rural home, his heritage rooted instead in the historic Fredetown settlement. In his final days, he battled pneumonia and complications related to blood pressure. After a brief hospitalization in Nairobi, his condition worsened, and he passed away on the morning of February 7, 2025. Leonard Mambo Mbotela's story is one of endurance, adaptability, and influence. From being forced at gunpoint to shape history, to becoming the trusted voice in Kenyan homes for nearly 6 decades, his life embodied both the pressures and the power of media. Controversies may have punctuated his journey, but they never overshadowed the enduring legacy of a man whose voice became part of a nation's identity.